Dude, thanks for making the time.
Thanks for
Um,
having me.
I feel like I've worked in Jacksonville, I've worked in Atlanta, DC, and now Chicago, and never met you, but have always been to your shows. And I feel like through your music for the past couple of decades, like we're friends. I feel like that's the vibe and energy that you deliver through music. And I hope that doesn't sound weird or foreign to you.
No, man, I think that's great. I think that's awesome. And I
Um,
appreciate it.
yeah. So
Well,
I
I think
just
that's cool. That's
appreciate,
what music's supposed to do, right?
yeah. I've never, again, I'm going back to never talking to you before. Your speaking voice sounds like your singing voice, and that's not always the same. Do you notice
I,
that?
I hear both. Some
Okay,
people say
yeah,
I sound nothing like it, and some people say I sound like when I sing. I guess it depends on what song.
yeah. I would, okay,
Because I'm like, if
for
I
sure.
don't, I mean, people that say that I don't sound like I do when I'm singing, it's like maybe because I'm not like screaming at you.
True enough.
I do
Do
have
you like
some
your
people that ask me to scream in their face, so I'm like, no.
that's almost like asking a comedian, "Hey man, can you tell me a joke and make me laugh?" Like,
Yeah, tell me a joke right now.
just buy a record, stand in front of the stage, and let's go that way.
I'm flattered, but yeah,
Where are you right now?
that's a good question. Anyone? Dallas, Dallas. I knew that. I was just making sure they knew.
Dallas, Texas.
Yeah.
Dude, I gotta say this right now. It's been 5 long years, and
Oh yeah,
I want
yeah.
to be a little cautious. I want to be a little cautious when I say that because I'm feeling like, oh my God, we need to be fed by Ben, that sweet nectar of Breaking Benjamin music. Um, we have pacifiers, and those are all of the incredible records that you've delivered to us. And so I've just kind of forgotten about maybe breaking, not forgotten about your band, but forgotten about the fact that you were kind of in the process of making new music. And then all of a sudden, it was like Christmas or a holiday when I'm walking downstairs on Christmas morning and you see this beautiful tree. Now, all the presents were just boxes that were wrapped with nothing in it because we didn't have a lot of money. But I remember getting a text from my boss last week. Did we play Awaken last week on radio? I think it was last week. And he's like, dude, Awaken, Breaking Benjamin. And I texted him back and I was like, is it sick? And he goes, it blows me away. And so I heard it. And um, thank you for delivering a banging ass song.
Oh, dude, thank you.
The guitars, both of those guitars at the beginning, I feel like are just doing nothing but punching us in the face. And it
Yeah.
is just so sick. And then your voice comes in. Um, how does it feel to have been working on a record, which we can talk about later, but like specifically that song, knowing it was going to release to radio? Um, the anticipation of that, like prior to it going to radio across the country. What are the vibes that you and the band feel? Because you've been familiar with that song for a minute.
Yeah, we've heard it a lot already. But
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, no, I mean, we just it's a really natural thing with us to just go with the flow. You know, we don't stress about stuff. We do the best that we can. And when you do that and you give it literally all that you have to give, then you even no matter what happens, you know you at least did that, you know. And so
mm-hmm.
that's kind of how we do it, you know. I definitely don't I try not to put a lot of thought in it because with that will come crippling anxiety, and I am a very anxious person. So I just try to go with the flow. You know, it's like we try to do the absolute best that we possibly could do, and if we haven't done that, then that's why it takes so long for us to make a record. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
or put out a song because it's just not there yet. And it's the same with that one. It was just, you know, I would listen to it and it'd be like, man, it's just, it needs something. It's not there yet. And then when it was there, we're like, all right, let's roll out. Let's roll out with it. I mean, we leave no stone unturned with it. And so hopefully, you know, that shows. And we're really, really grateful just to be able to still be relevant, period, because that's hard for a band to do. And so if we're here, we're going to give it our all.
I love that you just said that. Um, you have laid the foundation. I mean, dude, you're such a staple from for so many for all your records. You've just proven to be a staple in active rock and rock stations around the country, and not just
Thank you.
radio, but off the air too. Breaking Benjamin's been one of the bands that I really appreciate. So it is so
Thank you.
interesting to hear you say, it's cool to come back with new music and still be relevant. Dude, you'll always fucking be relevant, whether I work at a radio station or not. I
Well,
really
thank
believe
you.
that. And my
Thank you.
intention is not to kiss your ass. I'm just saying there's no way in hell that you're going to blanket the past couple of decades with so many of these records that the radio singles are spectacular, dude. But
Thank you.
fuck, to deep dive in between those songs and actually hear your do you feel like this is kind of a maybe a loaded question? I think I know the answer, but do you feel like when you're writing and performing, you're very vulnerable?
The thing of it is that the writing part, absolutely vulnerable. It can be pretty embarrassing at times. And with the boys, with the rest of the band, I'm comfortable with putting myself out there, having them hear things before anybody else, and sometimes it's embarrassing, and you just got to have trust with your band with that, and because I'm doing like these like I live in a condo where I have neighbors down below me, so I'm like doing these like recordings, like singing all soft into my phone, and like, what do you think
Yes,
of that? Because I can do that with them because the catalog that we have, like they know when I sing soft a certain way, they know what that's going to be or what the full thing of that is or what I mean by that. So things like that are very, very vulnerable. I would never in 1,000 years let anyone hear any of the stuff that I send the band, and then you refine that to a point where you're vulnerable but comfortable in the final product. You find the things that are tastefully vulnerable and tastefully across the board tasteful, so that's pretty much the process that we do. It's super long, arduous, and it's really meticulous down to like the every little sound, every little thing has to have purpose within itself. It's complicated and boring to explain, but
it's
that's what
not. It's not. I swear I feel that's why I ask these questions because I feel like you're pulling the curtain back on stuff that I'm not going to read on Loudwire. I'm not going to read in the liner notes of your record. So it's not boring, and I just appreciate that.
Thanks,
Um,
man. But yeah, I mean, everything
um,
has such intent behind it. Not just the words that you sing, but how you sing them. Does the meaning of what I'm saying here match how I'm singing that? And sometimes you just clear the space in your mind, put yourself in that spot and just belt out like 20 of them and then pick the best one. That's kind of how it goes.
um, so tell me about the record. Like, when did you start? When does the process start? Did it start a year ago, 2 years ago? Has it started 5 years ago after the release of your last bunch of music?
Well, we
Um,
actually technically started like before COVID,
okay,
and
yeah,
during that time though, during COVID, it's not a really inspiring time to be writing music, at least for me. So everything just kind of paused, even though I'm sitting at home and could do nothing
yeah,
but write music. It just really what
yeah,
I just wasn't feeling it, you know?
yeah.
And I wouldn't want to ever do anything that's disingenuous and things I don't feel. So that kind of put a pause of years on it. And then as soon as we were able to hit the road again and start touring again, that seems to be the restarting point for us that we're feeling it now. And we're connecting with people and we're seeing people's faces. And that's what kind of got our juices flowing again to pick it up again.
Do you like your job?
Oh man, I love my job. There's not a day that goes by that I'm not thankful beyond words, not only to be able to do this, but to do it for so long.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only
When
downside
you,
to it is the songs that I've written in my 20s weren't designed for a 46-year-old man.
dude, it's so funny. It's not funny, but it's interesting you say that because I saw an interview and you may have seen the same one with Robert Plant. And I think it was Dan Rather of all people, dude. And he was asking him about Stairway to Heaven. And he said, you know what? The 23-year-old me wrote that song. And I don't know how old he is, but that's not
They
a
gotta
song
be in
I
his
would,
70s, 80s, or
yeah.
70s.
and he's like, I just don't relate to it. And he goes, I mean, no disrespect for the people that are hanging on to this song and have loved it for so long, but he goes, I just can't relate to it. But I
Yeah.
know that's not what you said, but
Yeah,
I
no,
can imagine.
luckily I'm still able to relate. It's just a matter of execution.
Yeah, dude, how do you, I mean, this is all you got. So how do you
Yeah.
take care of it, dude? I know that's kind of a lame ass question, but like,
Well, I have two other guys in the band that sing really, really well. And so we kind of split up the hard stuff and
okay, yep, yep,
I feel I still do most of it, but they take just that little edge off.
cool.
Yeah. That's how we do it.
Um, that is how you, fuck yeah, it's how you do it. Um, I need to ask you a serious question about uh what your number one, you don't have to answer it if you don't you love when somebody tells you everything about the question but doesn't ask you the question yet and they build it up? Dude,
Figure it out.
do you have one indulgence outside of music in your life that you allow yourself to indulge in, to partake in, to enjoy? Like, is there anything that we would be surprised to know? I guess that's a second question, but
Are you like hobbies or whatever?
yeah.
If
Or
funny enough, a friend of mine's here today because it's not the most enthralling or exciting thing to talk about, but I'm a huge computer nerd and I like to not only like play games, but more
yep.
so like mod them. And I'm kind of like kicking around the idea of getting into the Unreal Engine and making a game. So I'm gonna start digging into that pretty soon, and I'm like trying to. I have a buddy here today with me that is extremely helpful in not only modding but like everything I want to get going on with computers and stuff. He helps me out all the time with it. So that would be abs. I spend more time. Well, I don't want to out myself by saying that, or make.
yeah,
I don't want to make fans mad by
yeah.
saying this, but there are times when music does take a little bit of a back seat to that. And people are like, you should be writing music. Stop messing around with those video games. But I should be writing something but instead I'm like writing computer code and trying to get a mod to work, or watching tutorials on how to use the Unreal gaming engine and stuff. So I definitely it's a little distracting, but I'm passionate about it, and it's something that I spend a ridiculous amount of time doing.
I love hearing that. And it sounds like your buddy is the perfect person to sort of like walk you through this process and get
Yeah,
you.
I annoy him quite often with
Yeah,
questions helping me out.
yeah, yeah.
He's way
To
smarter than I
anybody,
am.
that would be like, oh no, dude, you shouldn't be whistle dicking around with anything outside of music. It's like you got to have a break, and I think that's what makes you guys so good. And back to your point about COVID, talk about the most uninspiring time to be a songwriter. And
Yeah,
so you just
yeah.
pump the brakes on it. And
There was
then
no
when it was,
motivation.
I can understand that.
Yeah.
Um, I'm gonna ask, dude. I'm fucking. We're right here. Why wouldn't the last thing I want to do is hang up with you and not ask when can we expect a record?
Well, we're working on it.
I
And I
know that
think
question makes you want to say, "Hey, Klinger, fuck you."
no, 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 not at all. Not at all. I'm thankful that there's still people want to hear new music, so I'm nothing but grateful. It's the same thing as before. It's like now, back in the day, we were on a climb.
Yep.
We wanted things, and now we're all just so blessed to be here.
Yep.
Period.
Yep.
And so there isn't necessarily, I wouldn't say like a climb, but there's definitely like a maintenance to stay where we are.
Yes.
But that being said, when there's a climb, you're really rushing yourself. You're hungry. You want to get it, and we are still hungry, and we do want to get stuff too. But I think it's a little more relaxed now, where we really only work on stuff when we're genuinely inspired to. And I feel like that's like when I listen to the songs that are rushed from back in those days. Like I personally can
Yep.
tell when I listen to stuff now, and I have more peace of mind listening to the newer stuff because I know that not any part of it exists because it was rushed. It's all like intentional. It's all like done in a great setting and in a great mindset. And so
Yep.
that's kind of what takes a while because you can't like just take a pill and be inspired, you
Of
know?
course. Of course.
So that's what we're doing. And the record, we have the bones for the whole thing.
Good.
And it's just a matter of when we're feeling it, to because that's going to be the best thing, the best result anyway, is when you're feeling that, and so that when those moments come by, we work on it, and then when they go away, we don't.
I want to thank you for your time. And that was so perfectly said. And I will simply end with this. I feel like when you gave us Awaken last week, I feel like you just threw us a fucking tomahawk steak, dude.
Well, thank you.
And so when asked about, hey, the record, we'll get to it. We'll finish it when, we got the bones. We'll finish it when it's finished. In the meantime, you know how big, you ever had a tomahawk steak, dude? These things are
Ah,
fucking massive.
yeah.
So I'm going to take my time and I'm going to marinate on it and enjoy the song. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you, man. We appreciate all the support. We're really happy that you really dig it, and we're gonna try to make every other song just as good.
I cannot wait to stand in front of the stage and see a Breaking Benjamin show in 2025, dude. So, Ben, thank you for your time. It's the most valuable thing we have, and I appreciate it. And I cannot wait to see your band.
Same, man. Thank you for your time too. I appreciate you having me, man.
Rock it, dude. Thank you.
Rock on. Thank you.